What's up, Heather?
What's up, B? Looks like you've got a special treat for us tonight.
Well, I do. This bottle right here, it's been on our wish list for some months, but thanks to a recent trip you made to Tennessee,
I did.
we were able to finally get our hands on it.
I know, I'm pretty excited. But before we dive in, let's take a second and thank everyone watching. You all have been amazing, leaving comments, sending emails, and smashing that like button. We appreciate it more than words or bourbon can express.
But we do like bourbon. But seriously, hitting that like button or dropping a comment does wonders for our channel. Everything is run by an algorithm. So if you would hit like or at least put a comment, even if your comment is, I have no comment, it actually helps us. And if you share this episode with a friend, well, that's the ultimate toast to us, and we thank you.
And speaking of growing, we have started publishing shorts. Do you have a bourbon or a rye you want us to try? Send the name our way. We'll shout you out. We'll email you when it's live, and we'll get it out there to the world and see what they think about it.
Yeah.
And what we think about it.
Yeah, we'll be honest.
We will.
Or if you've got an episode idea, send us something on our social media. We're all ears when it comes to bourbon, or rye, or whiskey.
All right, B. I think that's enough housekeeping for today.
That's so domestic of you.
You're so extra. Anyway, can you tell us what we're drinking today?
Well, tonight, Heather, we're cracking open Crossroads Bourbon. It's an offering from BR Distilling, the same folks behind Blue Note Straight Bourbon.
I love that bottle. If you want to see our deep dive on Blue Note and its ties to juke joints, check out the link above.
Right
But
above
for
her head.
now, right there. But for now, I'm guessing Crossroads has got to be a blues reference.
You're a genius.
I know.
It's named after legendary bluesman Robert Johnson.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, and while Johnson was a real musician in the early 1900s, sometimes his myth outlives and outreigns his music, which is actually pretty hard considering the people he influenced.
Hey, it's not quite like Elijah Craig, who is the father of bourbon and never made bourbon.
Yeah, there you go.
At least Robert Johnson did play music.
Oh, he played music, absolutely.
So I'm guessing that we are about to have story time with B.
It's my favorite time, but I'll keep it short.
Okay.
Well, people say you've got to have an antidote when you're talking about your bourbon. So this is your antidote when you're talking about Crossroads Bourbon.
Okay.
So Robert Johnson's born in Mississippi in 1911. He then went to Memphis as a child. There were some family issues there. So he goes to Memphis, and there he's introduced to the guitar. And of course, we're talking about the acoustic guitar this time. When he returns to Mississippi, he has two career options. He can be a field hand, or he can try his hand at going to juke joints and playing music.
I'm going to guess, a spoiler alert, he picked the guitar.
Yeah, that's true, but there was a hiccup. He wasn't very good.
Oh, yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, he gets booed off the stage. Significantly in Robbinsville, juke joints are not known for their they are not known for their hospitable crowds. They
There
let
we go.
you know it. They
There
let
we
you
go.
know it if
Yeah.
they do not like it. So he's literally booed off the stage, cast out of Mississippi.
Ooh, field it is.
Yeah.
So let me guess, a fairy godmother comes down Cinderella style and grants him a wish, and he becomes an amazing guitar player.
This is Mississippi in the early 1900s, and it's the Delta Blues. This is not Disney.
That's fair, that's not Disney.
No.
So what did happen?
Legend has it that Robert Johnson goes to the crossroads at midnight. He speaks to the devil, and he makes a deal with the devil. A guitarist like no other for the trading of his soul. It's a modern-day Faust.
Compelling, but let me guess, completely untrue.
Well, I know. I wasn't there. There's no live
There was
action.
I, but-
There's no live action reporting. But we do know what he did do is he did go to Texas. All right, he did go to Texas, where he ran into Ike Zimmerman, who at the time was a legendary local blues guitarist.
Okay.
And he spent 2 years traveling and living with Ike, playing every day and playing every night. And in fact, he would go out with Ike at night into cemeteries and play in the cemeteries.
Okay, so practicing in cemeteries could definitely add to a creepy legend like sold your soul to the devil.
Well, yeah, he was obviously playing for the dead. Or the real story is they were trying to avoid noise complaints. In cemeteries, there's not a lot of people to complain.
Yeah, there's not a lot of noise. I'm going to guess that's probably more likely it.
Yeah, that's probably.
But the creepy one story is fun.
Yeah. So in 1932, he returns to Robbinsville, which is where at the time is the home of some very famous blues people of the day. And he plays again. And the results are jaw-dropping. In fact, Son House, who is a local legend, said that folks' jaws just fell to the floor when he got up and started playing. And he made the statement, that boy must have sold his soul to the devil to be able to play guitar like that.
And there the legend began.
Oh, it began. And that's a lot sexier than saying, hey, I practiced a lot.
I worked really hard.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah, I'm back. He goes nuts. He's touring, but this is all local and in the South. This is not
not nationwide.
This is not the Rolling Stones. This is not the Eras tour. I mean, he's going juke, joint, playing in front of juke joints, and he dies at the age of 27.
Oh, so is he the first member of the 27
Club? He might be the founder
club?
of the 27 Club.
It's not a good club to
found.
found.
There's two popular beliefs around his death.
Okay.
One is that a jaded husband of one of his lovers poisoned him because when he died, there are reports of him crawling on the floor and barking like a dog or howling like an animal, and that goes along with some type of rare poison that exists in the South at the time.
Or maybe that's what you sound like when the devil comes to get your soul.
That might be. Of course, the other belief is that he died of syphilis.
Which can also make you go a little nuts. Okay.
He was hanging out in juke joints every night. His reputation was one of...
It was a bit of a Lothario.
He enjoyed his time.
He enjoyed his time
But
His short time.
But he did manage to make 2 recording sessions in Texas. But they were rediscovered in the very early 60s. And in 1961, it was made into an album called King of the Delta Blues. And it included those early recordings. Now, to be clear, we can't play them for you because they're still under copyright. But those recordings are actually, if you do listen to them, and they're available on iTunes and Spotify, you'll see that they're early recordings from the 1930s, and they sound like they're being played into a tin can. But they're very revolutionary.
Based on the timing you just articulated of the early 60s when this really comes about, I'm going to guess it had major influence on rock and roll.
Major. Because those recordings are the recordings of culminations, even though it's him playing, those juke joint players would play each other's songs and each other's beats and each other's rhythms. So those songs are a culmination of all the music from that time period. And at the time, in the early 60s, young rock musicians found music very stale, and they were going and looking deep, and they wanted to hear the roots of Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf, and that came from the Delta Blues. So they get their hands on that recording, and the people who get their hands on that recording are Eric Clapton, they're Jimi Hendrix, they're Mick Jagger, they're Keith Richards, Jimmy Page. So what you have is you have the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, Cream, the Jimi Hendrix Experience, and they take the beats, the rhythms, and the lyrics. They make them their own. And in fact, Eric Clapton's one of his most famous live recording is him playing his rendition of Crossroads Blues, which tells the story of Robert Johnson, that he would sing about himself, about how he sold his soul to the devil, and it becomes one of the most popular live recordings of all time of Eric Clapton playing with Cream.
What do you think? Do you think he sold his soul to the devil?
Oh, absolutely. This is the blues.
It's the blues. Of course he did.
He just didn't go practice in Texas. How boring is that?
So boring. You can't write a song about that.
Keith Richards didn't practice a lot as a kid. He just sold his soul to the devil. That's why he's still alive at 185.
He is 185.
Those pictures of him teaching young Willie Nelson to play guitar are just so amazing.
So Crossroads Bourbon clearly is a tribute to the legend, though.
It is, absolutely. And if you look at the bottle, and it's a gorgeous bottle, and we've got an image of the bottle, and here's the real thing, you'll see that there's a similarity of possibly a Robert Johnson on the front with a guitar strapped on his back, and then they've got it silhouetted against a back painting that is showing that he's at the crossroads at night, right here. It's a gorgeous little bottle.
But unlike the legend, we know what this bourbon's about. Yep. It's 100 proof. It's won double gold, actually, at the World Spirits Competition for 3 years running. And this year it took platinum.
It's a non-age stated bourbon. Has a mash bill of 70% corn, 21% rice. They finish it in toasted French oak casks from a barrel crafter in France that's been around since 1932.
Oh, wow.
So this is one of those finished in...
The French
oak cask. So it's supposed to give you a different palate.
Which we've tried a few of those recently.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing it more and more.
Yes.
And maybe it could be that we're just noticing it more. But either way, this won't be our first French oak experience.
Correct. And what we're also learning is that because some of these more craft distilleries like Blue Note, like Old Soul, some of the ones that we've highlighted, we know that at this time they don't have the product range to sit and age for 10 years. They don't have the product range to sit and age for 12 years. The 13-year-old Russells. What they can do is they can age their straight bourbon and then give it a neat finish. And this is one of the ways you give bourbon an interesting finish and find a niche in the market. Because you got to find a niche.
You have to.
So,
or you're not going to make it.
So they're laying into blues from Memphis,
Legends,
pickleball support, national pickleball
That's
support,
right.
and the fact that they have this amazing craft.
And it's been
distillery.
recognized.
Yeah,
They're
it's
winning
been
some
recognized.
awards. So we've tried Blue Note before, as we have said, and that's actually what our starter sipper was.
Yeah, we thought that'd
tonight.
be a good comparison because this is the same distiller.
Let's hear the pop. Ooh, it's such a nice sound.
In comparing the two,
This is a lot darker.
oh yeah, this has a much more brown to dark amber look.
Mahogany.
Mahogany. That is a great descriptive term.
It's not that much higher proof, but it gives a higher proof smell.
It's a little bit.
It's 7
Yep.
more, yeah.
And one reason that they might bump it up a little bit is they know that putting it in a French cask, they're taking some of that edge off. So they're increasing the proof to balance it.
I can smell the oak.
Yes. Right off the back, I smell oak. I smell vanilla.
You smell it more than you do in this one, in the regular Blue Note.
Oh, absolutely. The Blue Note is just an everyday sipper.
Absolutely.
It's a strong everyday sipper. It's a good everyday sipper.
It is. It's very good. I don't smell a lot of sweetness.
I get a little
very
vanilla.
oak forward.
I get a little vanilla.
I smell a little grain. I think I'm picking up the rye.
You might be.
Yeah.
Might be.
You want to give it a taste?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely taste the rye.
Now, did you taste it in the front? Ooh, there's a nice finish.
Yeah, I like the finish. I get it both places, but differently. I get that grain taste in the back. I definitely get less of a sweet wheat taste with this one. I get more rye. There's some spice there.
They're very different.
Very different.
And they're supposed to be very different. They're very different. I will immediately tell you that I like it. I might like it more than I'm even coming on right now. I'm still trying
you're thinking.
I'm still trying to get these flavors. You're talking about, you can taste the rye.
And the grain.
I'm not getting as much spice as you are.
Huh.
I think the spice is mellowed.
I taste it more up front and in the middle than I do in the back. The finish is not super spicy. The finish is almost like where I get a grain taste.
So in the front I get sweet, but not a heavy sweet. I get a presence. All right?
Almost like a natural sweetness.
Yes. Something gives it more mouth than the Blue Note. I don't know if that's the age, the rye, the oak, but something's giving it a little more mouth to me. And that could be what you're describing as the rye. Because, yeah, it warms me up a little.
Yeah, that's exactly
But on the back end, the longer it sits there, the more oak I get. This oak is tamed.
And
This is
it's
smooth,
the French oak.
which is what it's supposed to
Yeah.
do. You don't get that sweetness up front.
I do now. I was going to tell you, after you said the natural sweetness, I smelled it again, then tasted it, and that very initial hit is that sweetness.
And I will say, I am slow to these new fandangled ways of aging the bourbon in these unique oak casks. I don't know why I've been late to the table on that. I think it's just because I was just trying to explore traditional straight bourbon. I was trying to build my palate. This show's about journey.
And it's almost overwhelming if you start looking into everything.
But I'm starting to really appreciate, like the XO, I was a little late at the table, say, pour me a little bit of that. But it's extremely popular.
I'm kind of glad we started that way because I'm glad our foundation, for lack of a better word, is the more traditional tasting and produce. Because if not, and I had started with things that were aged in port wine barrels, or this was done or that was done, I don't think I would A, be able to detect as much on the palate. B, I would like things that were almost artificially enhanced or tasting. But now that we kind of have the foundation, we can have those and we can say, okay, I can taste that difference, or I can tell that's a difference without it kind of overwhelming the palate.
This is a little more complex than the Blue Note.
Yeah, I agree with that. Blue Note is a little bit more traditionally sweet to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is not going to be for everyone. This is a good step up, but I like it.
It holds up. It definitely holds its own.
So where are we going to rank this? Because this is where our ranking system becomes
difficult.
So
I think we both agreed that this is a classic That Dog Will Hunt. The Blue
yeah.
Note. I can recognize that this is intended to be a different expression. It's different. It's got that complexity. I really like the finish. This is when I wish we had like That Dog Will Hunt plus or Hush Your Mouth minus. I think it edges up into Hush Your Mouth for me. What about you?
I mean, it's a good second date.
First date went well too.
Yeah.
Clearly, we came back for a second.
It's a good second date.
We came back for a second date.
It's leaning to Hush in its mouth. It's good.
It's good. It like you said, it edges into Hush Your Mouth.
Are we not doing Hush Your Mouth because we're just trying to be a little more peculiar
or particular?
I mean, if that had Jimmy Russell's name on it.
I don't know. I think it could also owe to the fact that we've had some really good bourbons lately. I think in the overarching thinking about all the things we've tried, it probably is a Hush Your Mouth.
Yeah, we've dragged this out. We can close this.
We can close it. We can land this plane.
Let's land this plane.
All right.
So we're gonna land this plane. I'm gonna have to go with the Blue Note.
Yeah. Since you finished
mine, yep.
yours, I will cheers with the last little bit of our Crossroads.
Please hit like and subscribe. Please leave a comment. Please tell us we talk too much. Say anything. Mm-hmm. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, y'all. See you soon.
Because when you want to speak with the dead, that's where you got to go. You got to go to the Crossroads at midnight.
Does it have to be these particular crossroads, or will any crossroads do?
I don't know if you had a map.
The most powerful crossroad. Yeah. It's leaning. It's sliding into.
She's definitely giving him a hard look in the car. She's leaning over and she's like, I'm definitely kissing this boy goodnight. It's just a matter of how long am I going to kiss this boy goodnight.